that's why they're here. They're not.
My name's Alex. I've been at the camp for 1 week now. But the camp itself has lasted about 2 months. One of the things people often shout from car windows at the camp is, "Get a job!" And I think that one's definitely worth talking about. Because what it implies, there's two things to say here. Firstly, only people who have a job contribute to society. No, I don't think that anyone would agree with that if they gave it a little thought. I mean, would people argue that, say, mothers or even fathers who stay at home to bring up their children, or even people who sadly have to care for their relatives who are in a debilitated state because of illness, do not contribute to society? I'm not sure anyone would make that argument. So we see as a first premise that people who do not have jobs often do contribute to society. Now let's discuss secondly how activism does contribute to society. I think people who have jobs contribute to society's present. But people who are activists, people who do things like this, people who take action against the powers that be, are the ones that shape society's future. And I think that's the most profound and the most significant contribution to society that one can make.
When the bailiffs do come, and they're likely to come in the next few days, what will happen here?
Well, it's a matter of personal preference, firstly. I think some people will go, but some people intend to stay, and I count myself among them. As we are a peace camp, we obviously do not intend any violence whatsoever. But neither do we intend to comply with what we see as an unjust and unfair decision that impinges on the right to protest in this country.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen is non-violent resistance. We don't intend to fight, neither do we intend to comply.
I've been told that the guy that's been here for the last 5-6 years, he's got a legal right to stay here because he came here before the legislation started.
Yes, Brian Hoare has been here for about 9 years actually, since 2001.
9 years. Yeah.
And I think he's got a legal right to stay.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure
he's the only one though, isn't he? Is that right, that he's the only one who's got a legal right to stay here?
I think so, him and his entourage. Because, as you say, they got in before they started their protest before the legislation came into force, and the government forgot to make that legislation retrospective.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
Well, I haven't really left.
No papers were served. So if we weren't served today and they're not served soon, it will mean that they won't be served till Monday, so it'll be safe for the weekend.
What do you mean by served?
Well, they have to give
My name is Maria Galastegi and I'm a peace campaigner at Parliament Square.
Okay. So why are you here?
The main reason is the illegal war in Afghanistan, the illegal war that was in Iraq.
Yeah.
We need to get the troops home. Most of the people in the country don't support this war, and people are dying every single day. You know, the Afghanistan people, the children, our soldiers, and horrific injuries. You know, how do we justify that?
Yeah.
Most people that I speak to just have no idea why we're there. And then, of course, there's the oil connection, there's the drug connection. Now they've found minerals and all sorts. So, you know, it's a corporate thing. We're in Afghanistan because there's money to be made, money in the war itself. But, you know, us as individuals, what are we benefit? You know, do we support that? Do we back it? Or what are we gaining from it? Nothing. It's just a complete waste of time. But the main issue now that I'm concerned with is that if we don't get our troops home from Afghanistan, a war is building up with Iran.
Yeah.
And they obviously want us to strategically stay in the area. The thing is, they want the UK to be involved. It's the UK to back up the US and Israel and this coalition. They've got to keep it together. They don't want it to crack because otherwise, it's all going to fall apart. That's why it's so important now that we push for this. Because if we go into Iran, the whole world's going to change. And also, we'll end up with conscription. There will be conscripted young men here into the army. And a lot of them will go. The propaganda propaganda machine, once it kicks in and demonizes a country and demonizes people, it happens every time. It never fails in history. People do follow it. They get frightened themselves, and then they start to fear for this demon that's going to come and attack us. And also, it's very, very hard psychologically to not support your government. So once the media kicks in and the government insists that this is what we have to do to protect ourselves, it's very hard to stand up against it. And most people then, just like the Iraq war, will follow the media hype. And then it's very difficult once you're in that situation to try and stop anything.
What do you think you've achieved, basically?
Well, Democracy Village started on May the 1st, so that's 2010, and it arrived while the government was literally not in the area at all. The sitting government,
The election.
Support today from people coming down. Some lovely young girls brought some beautiful food today for everybody to share. Really, really nice. No, the support hasn't gone away because people aren't stupid. They know what's right and wrong, and I think what's happened is we've had a sort of a media campaign against us because obviously they wanted to sort of influence the decisions of the courts to make it easier so that when we are evicted, then everybody will think, well, yeah, they had their time, they had enough, they made their point, now they move on. But no, I think we have the support of the people, particularly, and it did come out in one of the newspapers, statistically, the young people.
Yeah.
Because, what future is there for them?
Yeah,
We're a bankrupt country and all our money is going to war.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And the people who, there's so many youngsters now, there's no kind of motivation in life for them.
But the bailiffs could come tomorrow, can't they? Or any time?
Well, yes and no, because although the injunction is in force now, we haven't had any papers served, which is interesting. And I thought we would have done, but it doesn't mean that they won't turn up. So until those papers are served, and then they allow you so much time, because obviously people then have to have backup. Also, there has to be a homeless unit here.
Oh, right.
From the council, because we have probably about 85 to 90% of the people here now are homeless.
Okay.
They're not campaigners, although they've attached themselves to the campaign, and it's given us an awful lot of social problems here. So we spend more of our time now trying to sort out the social issues, squabbling and things like that. And we have alcoholics.
Do you think they've sort of damaged your campaign, these?
In a way, yes, because they haven't meant to. It's a sign of the times. And, as I say, if our money's all gone to war and we don't have the backup for people, then you will find an increase in homelessness, which is exactly what's happened. But yes, it's worn us all out. Because we spend more time. Originally, we had a kitchen that cooked food and we were feeding everybody. But in the end, we had to shut it down because it was exhausting. It's a full-time job then, cooking, and we had toilets, like porta toilets. But in the end, they were totally unmanageable because people will not go off-site, sort themselves out and come back again.
The mayor and the others have been complaining about things like rats and mice and sanitation problems.
I haven't seen any rats. I've been here I've been involved in Parliament Square about over 8 years and I've never seen, there's no rats on Parliament Square. However, there are mice. But there've always been mice. They're like indigenous to the square. Obviously, the more food that's left around, the more it's nicer for them. But there has been a sanitation problem, I will agree. Because as I said, a lot of the homeless people, they're very lethargic. We've got a Jeremy Kyle generation. Basically, we'll sit around, talk, get beer, drink, feed, and then not walk anywhere. Basically, if there's a place to go, they'll use the loo. If there isn't, they'll just use whatever. So that has been a problem for us.
Can I ask you what's the card that you said that you might play?
Obviously
Can you reveal?
No, I can't. No.
Is it about another appeal, or will you go to the?
We are looking into another appeal. We've been turned down from appealing to the higher court, which is the Supreme Court, which is at the back of Parliament Square where you are. There is a possibility to go to the Strasbourg, the European Court of Human Rights. However, that will take time and it won't stop the injunction coming in.
So once they serve you the papers, how much time will you get to go voluntarily?
presumably, they're never going to, even if they serve the papers now, they're not going to do this now. It would be either during the night, Friday or Saturday night, something like that. But before.
Well, next week.
No. If they were to serve them now, and it's enforced, then obviously maybe they could come tonight or tomorrow night. They don't want the media around him. They obviously don't want to do it in a rush hour because it would cause chaos. So they've got to do it at a time where, and I believe they said they were going to close roads. So it'd have to be over the weekend. Having said that, if they haven't served them, and we don't get them served today, then presumably it won't happen until Monday.
Are you fearful of any violence, or some of these homeless people might a bit drunk?
Yeah, that is a worry. That is a worry for us because we had some meetings and we've been emphasising it's non-violent. You can't create peace or demand peace if you're not going to be peaceful yourself. It will never happen. So, unless you're being attacked, quite literally, then I can't reveal the card.
You're going to go to the human rights in
they refused.
With that fire thing.
Where are you again?